No one expected that the world had come within just a few steps of a catastrophe beyond imagination. When the Allies celebrated victory in the Second World War, few could have guessed how close Nazi Germany had come to building a weapon that could have changed history forever, the atomic bomb. Only decades later, through declassified documents, recovered photographs, and scientists' testimonies, would the terrifying truth begin to surface. As early as 1939, long before the Americans launched the Manhattan Project, German physicists already understood the potential of splitting the atom. It was in Germany that the first evidence of nuclear fission in uranium was discovered, an achievement by Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann that shocked the scientific world. It seemed that Germany, not America, held the key to a new age of power. Laboratories were built in Berlin and Leipzig, where experiments on chain reactions were conducted, quiet, methodical work that unknowingly opened the door to the atomic era. Nazi leaders, especially Hermann Göring and his subordinates in the Ministry of Armaments, quickly realized the potential of this new energy. Reports were sent to Hitler describing a weapon of unimaginable strength, one that could obliterate entire cities in a single explosion. Yet even the most ambitious scientists could not fully grasp what it would take to transform theory into reality. Germany began a systematic research effort known as the Uranium Project. It involved some of the brightest minds of the era: Werner Heisenberg, Kurt Diebner, Karl Wirtz. They worked in secrecy across Europe, from Leipzig to Haigerloch, hidden deep in university basements and underground labs. There they experimented with heavy water, uranium plates, and graphite moderators, all under the strict supervision of the German war machine. But the path to the bomb was fraught with obstacles. Germany faced a severe shortage of uranium, and the crucial supply of heavy water from Norway was continually disrupted by Allied sabotage. The most famous of these was the 1943 operation against the Vamork plant in Norway, carried out by Norwegian commandos, which dealt a fatal blow to Germany's efforts. Without heavy water, the nuclear reactor could not reach critical mass, and progress ground to a halt. Meanwhile, in the United States, unaware of just how advanced the German program had become, scientists under Robert Oppenheimer and Enrico Fermi were beginning their own experiments. But as intelligence from Europe hinted at Nazi advances, the Allies accelerated their efforts. In London and Washington, rumors spread that Germany might already possess an atomic bomb. It sparked panic in military headquarters and urgency in laboratories across the Atlantic. When Allied forces finally entered Germany in 1945, they were stunned by what they discovered. In the ruins of universities and underground bunkers lay fragments of reactors, containers of uranium, and documents revealing advanced nuclear calculations. The U.S. launched a top-secret mission, Operation Alsos, to track down German scientists. Heisenberg, von Weizsäcker, and others were captured and secretly taken to England, where they were held at Farmhall. There, their conversations were secretly recorded, as intelligence officers sought to determine how close they had truly come. On the 6th of August, 1945, when news reached them that a single American bomb had destroyed Hiroshima, the captured German scientists were in disbelief. They realized that the Allies had achieved what they themselves had only theorized. Later analysis of their notes revealed that the Germans had indeed come close within a few critical experiments of achieving a self-sustaining nuclear reaction. Historians have long debated why the Nazis failed to complete the bomb. Some blame the lack of resources and the chaos of the final years of war. Others suggest that Heisenberg himself deliberately slowed progress, unwilling to give Hitler such a destructive weapon. There are even darker theories that parts of the research were smuggled out of Europe to Norway or Argentina, remaining hidden for decades. After the war, Allied investigators scoured every facility linked to Germany's nuclear research, deep in Thuringian mines, Bavarian tunnels, and Alpine bunkers. They uncovered blueprints, equipment, and handwritten notes. Some files remained classified until the 1970 seconds, when historians finally pieced together how close the Reich had truly come. Among the most mysterious discoveries was a small metal sphere found in the basement of an abandoned lab beneath Haigerloch. It was made of uranium and coated with an unknown alloy. Modern scientists who examined it decades later admitted that Germany had indeed been on the verge of producing a working prototype of a nuclear device. Had the war lasted just a few months longer, the outcome of history could have been unimaginably different. Looking back now, historians agree that the fate of humanity hung by a thread. No one expected that scientific discoveries born in peaceful laboratories could be so quickly twisted into instruments of annihilation. No one could believe that. In the early 1942, Germany was already standing at the threshold of the atomic age. The story of Germany's atomic program serves as a chilling reminder of how close humankind came to its own destruction long before it truly understood the power it had unleashed. No one could believe it when the discovery was announced. Hidden beneath layers of ice and time, a forgotten relic of the war emerged from the frozen Arctic wilderness. The world was shocked when researchers confirmed the existence of a secret Nazi base, a facility so remote and so mysterious that even many within Hitler's inner circle had never heard of it. It was called Schatzgräber, meaning treasure hunter, and it was located on the isolated island of Alexandra Land, deep within the Arctic Circle. For decades, it existed only as a rumor whispered among historians, dismissed by skeptics, and shrouded in conspiracy theories. Some said it was a weather station. Others believed it was a research outpost for advanced weaponry or even the testing ground for Germany's most secret projects. But the truth, as later revealed, was stranger and more unsettling than anyone expected. In 2016, a team of Russian scientists exploring the region stumbled upon the remains of structures half buried in snow and permafrost. Rusted barrels, fragments of military equipment, and even wartime documents lay scattered across the tundra, perfectly preserved by the cold. Radioactive traces and sealed crates suggested something more than meteorological work had been conducted there. As the findings were analyzed, a chilling picture began to form of a base built not merely to monitor the weather, but to serve as a hidden outpost for research, one that may have been linked to Germany's Arctic and nuclear ambitions. During the war, the Arctic had held immense strategic value. Control of the northern sea routes meant control of supply chains and the ability to monitor Allied convoys traveling from America to the Soviet Union. The Nazis established a network of weather stations across the Arctic to provide vital data for their naval and air operations. But Schatzgräber was unlike any other. It was larger, heavily fortified, and supplied through clandestine submarine routes. According to recovered wartime records, construction began in 1942 under the supervision of the Wehrmacht's High Command. Everything was brought by sea prefabricated steel shelters, generators, radio equipment, even livestock for food. The base operated in near total isolation, its crew of meteorologists and soldiers enduring extreme cold, months of darkness, and constant danger from polar bears and starvation. But official weather logs tell only part of the story. Hidden among the technical reports were strange entries about special cargo, sealed shipments, and unusual magnetic readings. Some historians believe the base may have also been used for experiments related to advanced materials, possibly to test components for long-range weapons or new detection technologies. Others suggest it might have served as a staging point for scientific expeditions seeking rare minerals or natural uranium vital to the Reich's atomic program. In late 1944, disaster struck. Most of the base's personnel reportedly fell ill after eating infected polar bear meat. With no way to evacuate quickly and communications severely limited, the survivors radioed for help. Weeks later, a German U-boat arrived to rescue the remaining crew and recover sensitive materials. After that, the station was abandoned, frozen in silence, and slowly erased from maps. For over 70 years, the Arctic wind buried the traces of its existence. Satellite imagery occasionally hinted at unnatural shapes beneath the snow, but harsh conditions prevented any serious investigation. Only in the 21st century, as melting ice began revealing long-forgotten relics, did the full scope of the site emerge. The discovery of Schatzgräber reignited speculation about the extent of Nazi research in the Arctic and what other secrets might still lie hidden in the ice. When the story reached the international press, it caused a wave of fascination and disbelief. Could it be that deep in the frozen north, the Nazis had pursued technologies far beyond their time? Some experts dismissed the idea as myth-making, pointing out that the recovered equipment matched standard meteorological use. Yet others noted inconsistencies. Encrypted documents that made reference to Operation Nordlicht and supply manifests listing experimental materials never before seen in weather research. Subsequent investigations revealed that several of the barrels found at the site contained traces of radioactive isotopes. While these could have resulted from later contamination, it reignited theories connecting Schatzgräber to Germany's nuclear research network. Some speculated that the base was intended as a fallback site, a place to continue secret experiments far from Allied bombers. In this version of history, the Arctic was more than a frontier. It was a refuge for the Reich's most ambitious and dangerous projects. Archaeologists working at the site described a haunting atmosphere. Beneath layers of ice, they found notebooks filled with careful German handwriting, documenting temperatures, wind speeds, and coded notes that remain undeciphered. Equipment was frozen mid-use, suggesting that the evacuation had been sudden. Even the remnants of food rations, medicine bottles, and boots told a story of human endurance in one of the harshest environments on Earth. For modern historians, Schatzgräber serves as a symbol of how far the Nazi regime was willing to go in its search for power. It was not just a base, it was an embodiment of obsession, built on ambition and isolation. Its existence proved that even at the edges of the world, the machinery of war had reached. Some researchers argue that there may be other bases, still undiscovered remnants of a global network of secret research outposts stretching from the Alps to Antarctica. Whether these are remnants of wartime paranoia or evidence of a broader plan remains uncertain. But one thing is clear: the Arctic discovery shattered many assumptions about the scope of Germany's wartime activities. No one expected that, beneath the eternal ice, history had been waiting silent, intact, and watching. The base's frozen ruins stand as a reminder that the boundaries of war extended far beyond the battlefields, reaching even into the most desolate corners of the planet. In the end, Schatzgräber was not merely a story about a weather station or about technology lost in time. It was a reflection of how secrecy, ambition, and desperation can drive human ingenuity to the very limits of survival. The Arctic base remains one of the coldest, most haunting testaments to the hidden depths of the war, a place where science, myth, and madness converged beneath the frozen sky. No one could have imagined what would be found beneath the streets of London. For 70 years, it had remained sealed, a relic of a time when the world balanced on the edge of annihilation. When the doors of Winston Churchill's hidden war bunker were finally opened, historians and engineers stood in silence. The air that escaped was stale, dry, and heavy, carrying the scent of dust, metal, and history, the weight of decisions that once determined the future of humanity. It began with a construction project in Westminster. Workers believed they had struck an old utilities chamber, but the deeper they dug, the more unusual the structure became. Reinforced steel walls, lead shielding, and airlock doors hinted at something far beyond a normal shelter. When preservation experts carefully broke through the sealed entrance, they found themselves inside a world untouched since the 1,940 seconds, frozen in time beneath layers of earth and concrete. The discovery made international headlines. Beneath the city, 30 meters underground, lay a secret command center meant to function even if London was destroyed. Its codename had long been erased from official records, but recovered documents later identified it as Project Sentinel. Built in the darkest days of the Blitz, It was designed as a final command post, a place from which Churchill and his war cabinet could continue to lead Britain even if the capital itself fell. Inside, everything remained exactly as it had been left. Maps still hung on the walls, pins marking Allied and Axis positions as they stood in the final stages of the war. Old telephones lined the desks, their cords stiff with age, and rows of filing cabinets stood sealed shut, their labels faded but still legible. Even a cup of tea, long turned to dust, rested beside a typewriter, a quiet echo of human presence in a mechanical, unrelenting war. The deeper the team explored, the clearer it became that this was no ordinary bunker. It had its own power systems, water supply, and sleeping quarters for more than 200 people. An underground communication hub contained early encryption and decoding machines, evidence of frantic wartime activity. In one chamber, archivists discovered locked metal cases containing hundreds of classified documents, detailed contingency plans, alternate government protocols, and orders prepared for a day that everyone hoped would never come. Among the most remarkable finds were personal notes attributed to Churchill himself. Written in his distinctive hand, they revealed a side of the leader the world had never seen, one of deep anxiety and isolation. Beneath the surface, confidence and rhetoric that inspired millions, he had faced sleepless nights, haunted by the fear that the world could collapse at any moment. The bunker was not just a fortress. It was a reflection of the man's internal struggle, the loneliness of command, and the heavy cost of victory. Equally astonishing was the technology embedded within the facility. Behind metal panels were prototypes of radar systems and encrypted radio transmitters far more advanced than those known to have existed during the early 1940 seconds. Engineers concluded that Project Sentinel had likely served as a secret testing ground for experimental communications developed in collaboration with British intelligence. This discovery revealed that while the world knew Churchill as a statesman and orator, he was also directing one of the most ambitious and technologically innovative wartime networks ever built. In a sealed annex, investigators uncovered a chamber lined with copper coils, thick cables, and layers of lead shielding. Initially believed to be part of the power system, markings revealed it had been designed for radiation monitoring and protection. Whether it was a primitive nuclear detection system or a prototype for energy experiments remains unknown, but it hinted that Britain, even before the war's end, was already preparing for a new kind of threat, the dawn of the atomic age. The reopening of the bunker stirred powerful emotions worldwide. For some, it was a moment of pride, proof of resilience under unimaginable pressure. For others, it was a haunting reminder of how fragile civilization had been. In the narrow corridors, where every wall seemed to carry the ghostly rhythm of typewriter keys and distant air raid sirens, the past felt tangible, as if history itself had been waiting to speak. Restoration teams spent months cataloging every artifact and recording every room. The airtight construction had preserved nearly everything: the smell of paper, the texture of leather on worn chairs, even the faint marks on walls where maps had once hung. Scientists noted that temperature and humidity had remained almost unchanged for 7 decades, turning the site into a perfect time capsule, a silent witness to humanity's most perilous hour. Among the final discoveries was a steel cabinet labeled "Eyes Only." Inside were intelligence summaries from 1,945 reports detailing the progress of the German nuclear program, Soviet advances across Europe, and early predictions about post-war geopolitics. One document, dated mere weeks before the war's end, outlined a hypothetical scenario in which atomic weapons would determine global power for generations. Its accuracy was unsettling, its foresight almost prophetic. When the news reached the public, journalists described the site as a frozen nerve center of a vanished empire. The British government pledged to preserve the bunker as a historical monument, not only in tribute to Churchill, but as a warning to future generations. Beneath the ordinary streets of London, it reminded the world how close humanity had come to collapse and how survival often depended on what remained hidden in the shadows. Today, The reopened bunker stands as both a museum and a message. Visitors walk through its dimly lit corridors, past maps, radios, and chairs left precisely where they once stood. Every detail tells a story of endurance, of fear, of the belief that the future could still be defended even when the present was in ruins. No one could have imagined that beneath the city, history had been waiting silent, watchful, and intact. The discovery of Churchill's hidden war bunker reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the strength of humanity lies not in dominance, but in preparation, persistence, and the unyielding hope that tomorrow will come.